Hi guys, and welcome to Motion Gaming. Today I'm going to show you the best spawn locations for Bloodhunt in solos, duos, and trios. If you enjoy the video or find it helpful, give it a like, and if you want to see more Bloodhunt content, hit the subscribe button so you can find your way back. Let me show you how and why I chose these spawns in particular, and then I'll show you some maps that I made. My definition of a best spawn location is one which will give you a consistent loot from game to game, and set you up with consumables for the first few fights. Although pushing high tier loot areas in the beginning is fun, winning a 1v1 only to be pushed by someone who seems to have more loot than you can be annoying at times, and you aren't guaranteed a high tier weapon anyway. So to find the best spawn, first I needed a map of every spawn location in the game, and to accomplish this I basically took a screenshot of the player spawns on every game over 50 matches. This gave me a map with not only all the possible spawn locations, but also a heat map showing the most popular spawn choices in solos. Why is this important? Because in a match of 45 or more players, at least someone won't be getting the spawn they were hoping for, so less picked spawns are potentially more interesting for consistency. Knowing where most players spawn can also help us pick spawns based on aggressive or passive play, dropping us in the action as soon as possible for high kill games, or avoiding unnecessary fights early game. TTV and Saboteur players will know what I mean. As I said in my tips video, getting a gun quickly after spawn is important, so I needed a map of all guaranteed weapon locations. Even though fighting with a starter pistol is possible, it's definitely easier with a better weapon in hand. If you want to find out which Bloodhunt weapon is the best, head over to my gun guide video where I compare all the stats to all the guns, and give my favourite. So I placed dots on the map for each named location chest, and for each weapon van around Prague, as these are all guaranteed to be there each match. The two weapon vans at Dolphinum have been removed however, since they opened it up in the 0.5 update, and the underground car park chest has been placed inside the building. I then added ambulance and police vans to give me a map of consistent loot throughout Prague. This doesn't include any floor loot, but they don't guarantee you weapons, and the aim here is consistency. Once I had the loot map, I added all the potential spawn locations and started removing spots that were too far away from the consistent loot. Not to say that you can't do well from these spawns, but you are counting on a bit of luck with floor loot spawns to find good weapons and consumables. After removing spawns that had less loot nearby, I compared the remaining spawns with a heat map that I had generated from the 50 solo matches. I was left with a bunch of spawns which were all technically good, but I needed to test them in game to get a real feel of how easy the nearby loot was to get to, and whether many people were nearby. I found that some of the technically good spawns lacked in loot potential after a single van, or was just in a poor spot compared to other spawns nearby, meaning that an enemy would have the upper hand. I then narrowed the best spawns down to a few spawns for solos, duos, and trios. I gave multiple options so that you have a backup plan if someone grabs the better of choices. The following spawns are technically the best in the game, but of course you can do well from other spawn locations. Let me know where your favourite spot to spawn was, and if it made my list in the comments. Starting with the solo spawns, which were the easiest to find and test out. Two of these spawns will give you a choice of 6 or more weapons within a small radius, plus at least one ambulance before having to deal with any enemies. These are the bottom two on the map, and would be the better choices for solo play. The left one is generally less taken, but provides 2 weapon vans nearby and an ambulance before heading past some floor loot on the way to the gun shop. Watch out for anyone spawning directly above you, as they can get to the weapon van to the north before you. If this happens, grab the ambulance and head towards the gun store. You'll be able to either run or fight, it's up to you. The right one may appear better for loot, but the weapon shop will set off an alarm alerting other players, and the entity nearby can get in the way sometimes. The potential of getting 2 golden chests from spawn though can make this a great starting point, so definitely a risk versus reward decision here. This spawn is almost always taken each match, so be quick if you want to secure it. The northern spawn is another popular spawn, and although it lacks some potential weapon choices, you'll almost certainly leave with full heals, having the pharmacy and police vans directly beside you. I would suggest pushing construction afterwards, and aim for the chest up top, or, if it's taken, aim for some of the weapon vans nearby. These spawns should have you set up with at least one good weapon, a secondary or melee, and enough heals to last you a couple fights, by which time the enemies you kill should have brought you the remaining loot in the nearby area. Grab what you can and move on to a nearby named location for either another golden chest, or to find some people to third party with easy kills, now that you have a good loadout. Moving on to duos, where my main focus was teamwork, sending one player to get meds and armor, while the other secures an area with some good weapons nearby. This will put the team in a great position from the start, having enough loot to push a team or defend your spawn area. Playing with a random duo partner may give poor results from respawns, as communication and team play is key to get the best start possible. The Dolphinum is probably the safest spot here, having only a few other spawns nearby. Be careful of the entity, however, as setting them off will alert nearby players and eat through your ammo reserves. I would even leave a golden chest if you can't grab it without alerting them. The last thing you need is to be in a bad spot and in need of healing when other players could be pushing the gunshots. Spawning at Antenna and the gun shop can be a great choice, but these are both popular spawns and may not be available together. Heading north from Antenna to grab some armor before heading up top can come in clutch, as the next nearest spawn is far enough away that you should be looted up before anyone can get to you. Pushing Rooftop as a duo after your first loot should have you find fights, or head to Terrace for some blood resonances. The Demolition spawn is very similar to solos, but sends one teammate to the gun shop to secure some weapons and armor, while the other tops the team up on heals. There is a spawn between these two locations, so be aware if someone has taken that spot. I put a bonus spot at Terrace. It's a great spot for anyone who likes the main melee builds, as one person can grab the shop and the other can head straight to the loot and the chest on the roof. This works even better when it's a high tier loot area, but people generally turn up from all directions, so be careful. For trios, my main focus was allowing everyone to grab a weapon quickly, while also spawning near to each other. The last thing you want is to separate too much and be outnumbered from spawn. Killing an enemy or two with all 3 people using pistols and focusing targets is easier than a 1v3 with a good weapon. The spawn near Demolition and Art Gallery are great for aggressive players, giving you incoming players quickly after looting and opening up your movement choices by not being stuck in a corner like Construction or Slaughterhouse, for example. Dolphinum is possibly the best pick here, allowing 2 people to secure the building while a third has all of University Garden to play with. There is a popular spawn just above the University which has an armor van nearby, so beware in your first fight that the enemy may be better equipped than usual. Sending a player from a squad who can hold their own to this spot would be a good idea, as the 2 others are generally quieter. Antenna can be a great passive spawn in trios, having denied 3 spots nearby will allow you to secure the rooftops easily, and allow players to come to you instead of having to push. Demolition is a nice spot to start, giving the team everything you need in a small radius, especially if you push the pharmacy just after the gun shop. All of these trio spots are custom selections, so all 3 players will have to actively select their own spawn. This can make it more difficult to do in random trios, but will give your team a big advantage over squads with pre-selected spawns. If the worst happens and you can't pick any of these spawns, I would suggest aiming for one of the named locations. Just bear in mind that there is more traffic in the high tier loot areas, which actually showed up on the heat map over time. Most people will generally spawn on the outer ring of Prague, so if you're looking for a quieter early game, spawning between Demolition, Terrace and the Disco could be a good choice. There is a lot of ground loot and vans in the graveyard area. It might give you varying results between matches, but it should be a fairly quiet spot. Because less people are likely to be in the center of the map until the gas moves in, be extra careful of third parties here, as people might be moving in from all sides at the same time. A steady stream of people repositioning and giving their position away could result in a high kill game if enough people survive the first wave of battles. I will share all these spawn maps in Discord. Feel free to join and check them out in more detail, or ask me any questions you might have on the game. Give the video a thumbs up if you found it useful, and let me know if it helps your early game strategy. Remember to subscribe for more Bloodhunt content.